You wouldn't know it from looking at me. Sweat-stained hoodie, scar across my chin, a limp that comes and goes, but I'm what they call a Tier 3 authorized exorcist under the holy sanction of Rome. Or at least, I used to be. These days, the church doesn't admit we exist. Demon hunters, rule followers, disposable meat shields, basically. I didn't choose this life. It chose me the moment I saw my first demon at age 10. My foster brother opened his mouth to yawn, and a voice came out that wasn't his. It said my name backward and grinned with a mouthful of ash. I passed out. He died the next morning. After that, I was recruited. Not by priests or agents in suits, but by a man with no eyelids who showed me a tattoo burned into his ribs. It was a list of rules. Follow them, he said, or you die fast and ugly. That was 13 years ago. I've memorized every rule. I have to. Because I've seen what happens when you break even one. I have the rules tattooed into my left forearm. Never confront a demon before 3:33 a.m. It won't die, only remember you. If you hear your name spoken by a loved one during a hunt, it's not them. When entering a threshold, knock twice, even if it's already open. Salt your boots every 6 hours. Never skip this. If you see your reflection blink late, run. A demon you've already killed might thank you before dying. That one you let go. I don't know who wrote them. I don't even know if there is a rule writer. But these rules keep people like me alive. And recently, they've started changing. It began on a job in rural Pennsylvania, a farmhouse gutted by something that was once a man, now a shrieking knot of flesh that had glued itself to the ceiling and whispered in Morse code. I followed the rules, knocked twice, didn't engage it until 3:34, lit the holy resin. But when I got close enough to drive the iron stake into its spine, it spoke. "Rule 7, it hissed. I paused. "There is no Rule 7. It laughed with 3 voices layered on top of each other. Then it said my full name, not backward, not distorted, just said it, like it knew me better than I knew myself. I burned it anyway, but when I got back to my motel that night, my tattoo was itching like hell. I peeled off the bandage and saw something new. 7. When the rules start updating, stop hunting. I stared at it for an hour. No one answered when I called headquarters. I couldn't sleep. I drank until sunrise and left town without checking out. That was 3 weeks ago. Now the rules won't stop changing. I woke up yesterday with Rule 8 burned onto the back of my right hand. 8. If a demon cries, do not comfort it. It's learning. And last night, while sleeping on the floor of a gas station bathroom, I dreamt of my brother again. Only this time, it wasn't a dream. He was standing in the mirror, older than he ever got to be, wearing my old hoodie. "Why are you still hunting?" he asked. "I don't know anymore," I said, "because no one else will." He smiled, but he had too many teeth. I didn't sleep again. This morning I got a call from an unlisted number. The voice on the other end sounded like a robot, but wrong. It told me there was a Tier 2 incident in Cincinnati. Category: Howler class, occupying 3 floors of an apartment complex. No survivors. That wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the postscript. "You are not to follow Rule 4. It hung up before I could reply. I sat in my car and stared at my boots. Rule 4. Salt your boots every 6 hours. Never skip this. That rule has saved my life 3 times. I still carry the scars from the first time I forgot. Blisters in the shape of a handprint on my ankle. The burn never went away. So I salted my boots anyway. Cincinnati was worse than expected. The building was already condemned. Black mold slick on the walls, windows broken like missing teeth. I knocked twice before entering. My hands shook. I could feel the rules tensing in my skin like live wires, and I took the stairs. Never take the elevator. That's not a rule. That's just common sense when the thing you're chasing can distort gravity. Second floor, blood, but no bodies. Just piles of clothing in neat, folded stacks. T-shirts, jeans, even socks, like the people had undressed before vanishing. The air was heavy with copper and ozone. My breath fogged even though it wasn't cold. Third floor, silence, then humming. A low, childlike melody coming from apartment 3F. I should have left. I should have turned around. Instead, I stepped toward the door, knocked twice. The humming stopped. The door creaked open on its own. Inside, mirrors, dozens, hanging, broken, fogged, freestanding. I saw my reflection over and over from every angle. Some moved out of sync. Some smiled too long. Some blinked when I didn't. In the center of the room sat a woman, cross-legged on the floor, head down, arms covered in writing. Her voice was soft. "I used to be like you." I raised my blade. She didn't look up. "I followed the rules, even when they changed. Especially when they changed. You know what that makes us?" I said nothing. She smiled. "It makes us students, and students get tested." Then she raised her head. Her eyes weren't eyes, just scorched sockets. Still, I felt them watching me. "You're bleeding," she whispered. I looked down. My boots, they were steaming, salt melting, boiling through the seams, and I knew I should have listened. The salt in my boots had turned black and sticky. It hissed like meat on a skillet, seeping up through the stitching and burning into my socks. Every instinct told me to run, but the woman in the mirror room kept smiling. She hadn't moved. Not really. Her eyes were still hollow, like something had scooped them out and left the sockets as an afterthought, but I felt them watching me, not looking at me, through me. "You didn't listen," she said. Her voice sounded deeper now, like it was coming from behind the walls instead of her mouth. "That's how they find the cracks. The moment you doubt a rule, they crawl through." I staggered back, boots sizzling with every step. My right ankle buckled, the floor feeling like rubber beneath me. One of the mirrors beside the door rippled. Not shattered, not cracked, just rippled, like water disturbed by a whisper. In its surface, I didn't see myself. I saw her, the girl, cross-legged and smiling. But in the reflection, she was standing right behind me. I turned. No one, of course, except my shadow, longer than it should be, coiled like rope behind me. It waved, not my hand, just the shadows. I ran and out the door, down the hallway, not even caring if I made noise. My feet slipped once, blood on the floor or maybe oil. I didn't look. I slammed into the stairwell door, burst through it, and bolted downward like gravity owed me something. 2 steps from the bottom, the world tipped. Not metaphorically, the actual floor tipped sideways. I landed on my shoulder, skidding against the rusted railing, and tasted metal, maybe blood, maybe both. When I pushed myself up, something new burned beneath my skin. Another rule. I could feel it etching in. I tore open my sleeve. It wasn't on my arm. It was on my chest, just below the collarbone. Fresh, raw lettering, written in some kind of blackened scab. 9. If a rule writes itself, it's no longer yours to break. I limped through the front doors of the building and collapsed onto the cold sidewalk. My breath came in shallow, jagged gulps, like each lungful was being taxed by something invisible. I didn't look back. I didn't check the scanner. I didn't even think about calling for backup, because there was no backup. There never is when the rules begin changing. They don't want survivors, just witnesses. My motel room smelled like mildew and sadness. The fluorescent light buzzed like an irritated fly, and the air conditioner coughed out lukewarm air in pathetic bursts. I sat on the edge of the bed, socks peeled off, burns blistering along the soles of my feet. The salt had done something, not just to me, but to the rules. I took a Sharpie from my bag and wrote, "Don't trust new rules," on my palm, just in case I forgot. My brain felt soft, loose, like it had been dipped in lukewarm water and left to wrinkle. I stared at the ceiling until morning, waiting for the next change. It came at 5:15 a.m. My phone buzzed once. Unknown number, no ringtone. Just a single image, me asleep in the mirror room. Only I hadn't taken that photo, and I sure as hell hadn't gone back in. There was a new rule under the photo. 10. The mirrors remember. Don't let them speak your name. I dropped the phone like it was a live wire and didn't touch it again for hours. Around noon, I checked my forearm. The original 6 rules were still there, but the new ones had spread, like veins, or rot. They didn't stop at the wrist now. They were crawling toward my throat. I called an old contact, Father Mateo, a defrocked exorcist who owed me a favor and kept a holy arsenal in a chapel that technically didn't exist anymore. He picked up after the 3rd ring, breath ragged. "You shouldn't be alive," he said before I could speak. "Nice to hear your voice, too." "I mean it," he said. "They're rewriting you, aren't they?" I didn't answer. "You need to go to the foundation," he said. "The real one, not the church front. You know I'm blacklisted." "Everyone's blacklisted," he muttered. "But the alternative is that you get rewritten until your own mother wouldn't recognize you." "I don't have a mother." "Exactly. I met Mateo that night in the ruins of an old mission in southern Indiana. He had gotten older, hair gone, beard scraggly, but his eyes were sharp. He looked at my skin and grimaced. "They're not just adding rules," he said. "They're adding authority. You're becoming one of them." "One of what?" He didn't answer, just handed me a vial of something that smelled like burning cloves and a book bound in waxed leather. The cover had no title, just a handprint burned into it. "You need to make it back to where you were born," he said, "before the rules finish you." I hadn't been back to that town in years, didn't even know if it still existed. But I didn't argue. I drove through the night. The air changed as I got closer, heavier, slower, like the sky was pressing down with every mile. My GPS froze 2 hours from the town line, so I navigated by instinct, following signs that shouldn't have been there. Half of them were blank. The other half had one word carved in black marker: O-B-E-Y. I reached the house at 3:31 a.m. The door was already open. It smelled like soot and milk and rain. The kitchen light was on. The mirror above the sink was cracked in the middle. In the reflection, I saw a figure standing just outside the kitchen door. Tall, wrong, familiar. It opened its mouth, but I didn't wait. I knocked twice on the threshold and stepped in, just as the digital clock hit 3:33. The floor groaned underfoot like it remembered me. The air thickened with something I couldn't name. My hand burned. A new rule was etching in, so fast I couldn't keep up. 11. If the house lets you in, finish what it started. The figure moved. It stepped forward from the shadows, and I saw its face. It was mine, but older, dead-eyed, covered in marks I hadn't earned yet. It opened its mouth and my voice came out. "You were supposed to stop." I tried. "You broke Rule 7. No one told me what it meant. You wrote it." It moved closer. I couldn't move. My limbs were filled with static. It leaned in, inches from my face. "I'm the one who follows the rules. You're the one who tests them. And now," it smiled, "now you get to write the next one." It raised a hand and touched my chest, and I felt the burn. 12. If you break your own rules, the demon doesn't die. It becomes you. And then everything went black. I woke up this morning in a different room, clean, sterile. My clothes were folded neatly on the floor beside a tray of toast and a glass of water. My skin was smooth. No burns, no tattoos. I looked in the mirror. My eyes blinked a second too late. But I smiled anyway, because I finally understood. I wasn't the hunter anymore. I was the rule.